All right, give us a few moments to get all the streams in, and we're going to kick this thing off.
Should be good to go.
All righty, thanks. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment, a preview installment. We have a game tonight. I'm very excited. Of course, I'm one of the co-hosts, Ron White. To my right, your left, is my partner in crime, Thomas Hall. And we're excited to get into the game tonight, the players to watch, the key matchups, where players can improve and such. So really looking forward to get into that. How are you doing today, Thomas?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm excited for the for our preview because we're going to be doing a preview throughout the year. So we're going to work out the kinks the next two games. Have a couple preview shows, see what people are interested in, what they aren't, and we'll go from there. But yeah, doing well. I'm going to say grab a few folks in the chat. We got Dylan who's coming in already, Mile High Huddle staffer, saying remind everybody to hit the like button. Share on the platform, subscribe if you haven't already, which is good advice. And he's going to be out at the game. He's on his way now. So that's awesome, Dylan. Have fun at the game. Appreciate that you were in here early to say hi to everybody.
Yes.
You got David Youngkin was in here early as well, saying evening, Thomas and Ron. I know everyone is looking forward to running back, tight end, or receivers. Not me. Looking forward to seeing seeing the O-line if it's improved. Aren't we all? So let's hope that it's much better. In fact, I've got a key matchup that deals with the offensive line. So hopefully I can share my screen with some graphs and whatnot today to kind of get us going. So we'll see. We've got Kevin Gray also coming in early saying evening, Thomas, Ron, and Scott. Big Mile High salute to Broncos country, Denver Broncos for life, Mile High Huddle for life. Yeah, I wish Scott was here. It'd make it a lot easier to figure out how to share the screen when it's time for the images. So he is not here tonight, but we're here and we're going to have some fun.
Yes, and Kevin coming in, I want to grab this one, Thomas, as well.
Okay.
Kind of going back to, I think, a point of emphasis, I think, for everyone. Thank you, Kevin, for this comment. He says, I'm especially interested in the offensive and defensive lines. Hope they look better. Yes, we will definitely be getting into that because that ties into both of our key matchups. So hopefully, on both sides of the ball that the Broncos play better, but we'll see tonight against this 49ers team.
Absolutely. I'm just going to grab a couple others here as we're going and then say hi to Dominic Martin saying Dominic's coming in saying, hey, Broncos family, orange and blue view rocks, Mile High Huddle for life and go Broncos. And we also got Todd Ossendorf in the house saying hello to all of us and the mighty Broncos country. And Michaela, of course, coming in. Thank you for being here, Michaela. Appreciate it. Saying good evening, Broncos country. And if I miss a few of you in there, I'm sorry. Like I said, we're here by ourselves. I'm trying to make sure I'm checking out the Facebook stars and figure out how to share screen and everything. So hopefully we can do this without too much trouble. Definitely. Ernie Mays is also coming in saying hello to myself and Ron. Go Broncos country only. Absolutely.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you for that comment. It's always a point of emphasis. We're the only ones that matter. So thank you for coming in.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get into Facebook here so we can see who's coming in from Facebook and whatnot. So, but I think we should start out. I don't know about you, Ron, but I think we should start out with our players to watch. Correct. It is preseason. Yes. I think that's where a lot of the emphasis is. For me anyway, in preseason is to see those players, especially the ones that are trying to win a roster spot. I mean, we know Justin Simmons is going to have a roster spot. We know Russell Wilson. I'm talking about for preseason, I like to see those roster bubble folks and how they're doing. And I've got 3 of them. I think you've got 3 as well to check out. So do you want to go with one of yours first and then I'll jump into mine?
Sure. So my first player to watch is one of the wide receivers. Lil Jordan Humphrey is my first player on the docket. So just a little bit of background for those who don't know his college and kind of his game. He was undrafted out of Texas in 2019. He had a stint with the New Orleans Saints. Of course, there's familiarity there with Sean Payton. Last year, I believe he was with the Patriots. One thing I'm looking forward to seeing with little Jordan Humphrey, Thomas, is the nice deep crosser routes. He's very good with man-to-man. I've seen there have been a lot of plays that he's done with the Saints. He can switch and adjust to the football and win his one-on-one matchups. I would like to see more of that, because the films that I've seen is mostly him kind of finding that spot in the zone. So how does he adjust consistently in that man-to-man coverage? He's also good with running those dig routes, those slants. He can get open in that zone. So kind of looking more at running that route tree. I want to see that route prowess kind of come more to light. And then him as a punt returner, him catching punts. I know that was part of the reason he was brought in, because he does have that capability. So hopefully we're able to see him out there fielding punts as well. Because, with versatility, if you can line up as a wide receiver and catch passes and you can catch punts, chances are you're going to make this team probably as the fifth wideout on the sixth wideout. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring more as a receiver and more so as a punt returner as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good one. In fact, I've got one as well who's a wide receiver on mine. I'm going to talk about him in just a second, but I want to just say hello to Albert. And Albert's coming in. How you doing, Albert? Saying, howdy, y'all. What are you watching for in this game? Better tackling, Pookie, and Mims. Those are good ones. Playing and a better O-line is what I'm looking for. Yeah, absolutely. Mims is a good one. He's, I think he's making the team. They didn't spend a second round choice to get him, to try and sneak him onto the practice squad. But yeah, it's going to be good to see him, especially in the punt returns. Because when I was out there at camp, I felt like he was very comfortable out there catching punts. So we'll see that. My first player to watch really is Marquez Callaway. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that is because when they signed him, he was a leading receiver for the Saints in 2021. So he has the ability to play wide receiver. I thought that he was coming in to be maybe that fourth or fifth guy. I think he's on the roster bubble right now. He has not been that impressive to me. Watching him in that first preseason game, I didn't see much from him. He wasn't playing a ton of special teams in camp, but then he started to, as I watched there a few times, he started playing more special teams. So for me, it's Marquez Callaway is fighting for a roster spot right now. I'm surprised that he is. So I will be watching for him on special teams. Like you said, little Jordan Humphrey also on special teams. But if Callaway can come up big on special teams, I think that will earn him a roster spot, because I think he's fighting with Taylor Grimes and a couple others to make that final roster spot. His experience helps him. His experience with the Saints offense helps him, but if he's going to be that fifth or sixth guy, he has to be on special teams, has to play a lot, and he has to be pretty solid at it. So I'm going to be watching for Marquez Callaway for sure tonight. It's important to see. I think he'll be a good roster addition if he makes it when the season starts. So we'll see. I'm gonna grab Rodney real quick. Rodney Garcia is coming in saying, "Good evening, Tom and Ron and Broncos country. Hope we have a better performance on the offensive line this game than last game. Go Judy and Wilson connection." Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you,
Rodney. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And I want to grab Peter Middleton coming in from Singapore. Good morning from Singapore. Thank you, Peter, for coming in. We appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I like this one here from Shane, because we are going to get into roster projections or stat projections as we go. So Shane Stell's coming in saying, how many carries and yards do you think Javonte Williams will have tonight against the San Francisco 49ers? We're going to address some of those. Javonte is the one I am going to give you a little bit later in the show. Right now, we're going to keep going with some of these key matchups, but that's a great little kind of foreshadowing of what we're going to be doing a little bit later. So thanks for coming in. Appreciate that very much, Shane.
Thank you, Shane.
So, okay. Who's your next guy? Who's your next guy to watch out there, Ron?
Yes, second on my list, Jonathan Harris. I know
Yep.
he's had good buzz in camp. So just a little bit of background: undrafted out of Lindenwood in 2019, was on the Bears practice squad, and then he went to the start of the season. I'm in 2019 as well. So very solid against the run at the defensive end position. I've seen the pass rush ability and pushing the pocket. I've seen a lot of that, and I want to see more of that. So I'm looking to see more of that tonight, especially against the San Francisco offensive line. I know he's known to beat his man and get the sack. I want to see more of those clutch plays, though. I think I put him on this list because I'm looking for batting down passes. I know in camp he batted down a few passes against Russell Wilson. So I want to see that clutch gene somewhat, if you speak, of batting down some of those passes, deflecting it from the quarterback. And again, just having that pass rush on the interior, just having that ability to go inside and and get the quarterback. So he's a very intriguing and exciting player that we'll definitely see on the field tonight.
Yeah, Jonathan Harris, to me, I've been watching him the last couple of years. It seems like they've really given him as many chances as they can to get him into a very solid backup role or even a starting role, because
Yep.
they've liked him. More than one coaching staff has really liked Jonathan Harris, and he has now finally taken those reins, and he's penciled in as the starter right now from my perspective. Even when Mike Purcell comes back, I think he's going to be that other starter opposite Zach Allen. So I think he's had a great camp, and I think he's had a pretty good, he's going to hopefully have a pretty good preseason too. But I'm not really worried too much about him not making the roster. But you're right. I'd like you said, it would be nice to see some more kind of impactful plays coming from him. But I think he's going to be one of those guys that, that people root for, because he was kind of an afterthought, and then,
Yep.
bounced around a little bit, and that, injuries kind of sidelined him for a little while and whatnot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that too, to seeing him too. Now, for me, the next guy up is JL Skinner.
Mm.
JL Skinner, to me, preseason games for JL Skinner is what's going to really make or break his chances for the roster. And the reason why I say that, big hits always get people's attention, right? There's not a lot of hitting in camp anymore. They have pads on, but there's not a lot of full contact. So big hitters like JL Skinner can really open people's eyes during preseason when they're going live and really hitting somebody. Last preseason game, I wasn't overly impressed with how he went about his business. I think he had rookie struggles to begin with, but
Yes.
he's going to get a ton of playing time tonight, a ton, because the Broncos are injured in the safety position. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think Justin Simmons is going to play. PJ Locke's definitely not going to play. And I don't think Caden Stearns is going to get out either. He's banged up as well, from what I understand. So
Yep.
3 safeties, and then they're going to limit, probably going to limit the amount of time that Kareem Jackson gets out there on the field. So it's going to be a heavy dose of JL Skinner and probably De'Laren Turner-Yell. So I'm looking forward. I want to see some hits, but because that's fun. But I actually, the part that I thought he was a little bit lost a couple times on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see him more comfortable in that defense. He had a really late timed blitz last week that really opened up the center field, and that they wide open for the score. So I want to see him not look so lost in the defense, and because I think he has a chance to make this team, but he's holding on by a thread right now. He really is. 6th-round draft choice. They may try to sneak him on the practice squad, but if he comes out, plays really well, has a couple big hits or something like that, and looks like he belongs, then they're going to have to think really long and hard about letting him try to go through waivers.
Yeah, that's a good point. And he actually is kind of an honorable mention on my list as well as a player I'm looking to watch, and mostly in just regards to the impact plays, the hitting. I want to see how he attacks, these receivers. So that is a good one to watch. And you're right. I have that when we get to the injury portion. For the safety position, we are injured at safety, so he was going to have to play a meaningful amount of minutes, and this is his time to shine. So we'll see what happens with him.
Yep. And we really are 45 minutes away from kickoff. That's why we started a little early. So thank you all for coming in a little bit early. I know we usually go on at 6, but we wanted to get this thing going, get the preview out there before the game starts, and also be able to watch the games ourselves. So thank you for coming in a little bit early. I know it's a bit of a change on the schedule. So I'll just remind you all to check out the there's some articles on Mile High Huddle right now that's talking about a lot of these players who are on the bubble for sure. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. Also, I had Ken Lanier on the show on Legends of Mile High. And if you don't know who Ken Lanier is, I'm sorry. Go watch it. He was a probably one of the. I argue that he's the best right tackle in Broncos history. So go check that out. But I wrote up an article talking with him about the offensive tackles. So that's going to come out tomorrow. We were discussing from his perspective about these offensive tackles and the injuries that they've sustained, and that could be part of why Bowles is struggling, maybe why if McGlinchey comes back, and maybe why he would struggle. So it was really keen insight. And so when we're talking, I know there's a lot of chatter in the chat here about Bowles and whether or not we can see the Broncos kind of move on from him with the dead cap hit. I don't think they will, but just think about this from a perspective of Bowles is still kind of dealing with the recovery of that injury, whether it's physical or mental or both. So hopefully, as this year goes on, we'll be able to see more from Bowles, better performance from Bowles as he gets more comfortable and gets that mental game over. But anyway, check it out. Check out the podcast. Check out that article tomorrow. That might give you a little bit of insight into how Bowles is struggling right now.
Yes, and I wanted to commend you on that podcast with linking it out. That was great. And also, guys, please check out the article. It was a good article for sure. Thank you, Todd Ostendorf, for coming in. Thank you, sir. He says or asks, can Jaleel McLaughlin do enough tonight to make the impression he needs to make the final 53? I think it's already been done. He's already made that impression, at least in my book. Last game, with the Cardinals, you saw the burst, you saw the speed, you saw the vision, hard runner. You saw him going through these gaps, yards after catching out of the backfield. I think he has done enough, Todd. And what we even saw in camp and what we saw against the Cardinals, he's going to be our B3 in my mind. He's going to make this roster. Obviously we don't want injuries to happen. If he's injured, I don't see him making it. If he does, if he's injured, he's not going to make it, obviously. But, if he continues to shine, all he can do is go up from here. And if he continues to shine, with that ability and that speed, he's going to make this roster. So he has to do nothing else for me in order to get my vote for this 53-man roster.
Yeah, he's been the darling of training camp, really. I mean, I'm not being overly exaggerative. He really impressed everybody that watched him in camp. It wasn't just my eyes, but Luke Patterson out there, Cecil Lammy. There was a bunch of people out there that really liked Jaleel McLaughlin in camp. So he's really made quite an impression. Why he was pushed so far down the depth chart is beyond me. I don't know if they were trying to figure out if they could sneak him onto the practice squad, but I don't think they can. I mean, he was the most productive runner in last preseason game, right? He had a really nice few runs, scored a touchdown. I think he can come out and get 3 or 4 snaps, show some more bursts. I don't think they're going to be able to sneak him on the practice squad. So I think he's already kind of punched his ticket as well. He's looked really good, and I've been talking about it for a while, and then Sean Payton talked about it a couple days ago that he's a nice complement to the 2 big bruisers that are going to be toughing out those, really hard yards. McLaughlin's that change of pace guy who's going to come out and catch those, the defenses off guard maybe a little bit. The only thing that I can see that they may not keep him on there is because he's not going to play too much special teams. That's the only knock. But if he's the 3rd running back, he's not going to need to play a lot of special teams. So, I mean, you can bring in you can have others jump in there and play special teams. So I think he's punched his ticket, just like you said, Ron.
Yep, most definitely.
I'm going to say hello to Michael
Michael.
Ronquillo coming in. Thank you so much, Michael, for the support from Facebook Stars. Really appreciate you being here. Going through our first preview. So as we do this, Michael and anybody else, if there's something else you want to hear in regular season, let us know. We're doing the players to watch. We're going to do some matchups. We're going to do some stat projections. But if there's other things that you really want to hear about, let us know. Let us know in the chat or hit us up on our Twitter handles. So let us know. Let us know what you want to hear, because we want this show to be what you guys want to hear. So Michael's coming in saying, good evening, Thomas and Ron on Orange and Blue View. Go Broncos and Buckham. So thanks for coming in. Appreciate that.
Thank you,
Michael, as we go through some more of these, you got one left, Ron, one of your key players to watch, I think. Who is it?
Yes, and the last key player to watch, Tyler Beatty out of Missouri, drafted in 2022, 6th-round pick from the Baltimore Ravens. He fits the mold into what Sean Payton's looking for, especially on third down. So he's a very good third down back. The change of pace, I'm looking for that, and also utilizing him in the passing game. A lot of the plays I've seen are just him, out of the backfield, in the flat, catching passes and taking it, 30, 40 yards up the field. So seeing more of that on display. He can be used, obviously, in the blocking. I kind of want to see how he helps with the blocking as well. But, we know Sean Payton likes to use these backs as well to catch passes. So, and we saw that last year with Beatty. I believe it was the last game of the season against the Chargers. He had a touchdown with Russell Wilson. So seeing that on display and how he, looks as compared to some of these other running backs, I'm looking forward to watching that tonight.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's seemed to have the inside track, according to the coaches, as on a roster spot. So if they're going to keep 4 running backs, he may be he's probably the 4th guy. Mm-hmm. My guy, and he's a little known player, but his name's Marcus Haynes. Mm-hmm. Now, Marcus Haynes is an undrafted rookie free agent who is a long shot to make the roster, but he had a very good game in preseason last year. Nothing super exciting. I mean, he wasn't like Elijah Garcia had the big game on the defense, right? 2 sacks. That gets a lot of attention. But Marcus Haynes played a lot of snaps, played pretty solid, got a QB hit last week. But he's been playing a ton of special teams. And right now with Baron Browning, he may start on the PUP list, right? Baron Browning may start on the PUP list. So it's really that spot that's going to be taking up that empty spot while he's recovering until is up for grabs. And it's really between Marcus Haynes right now, Thomas Incoom, and Aaron Patrick, who's recovering from injury and I don't think he played at all last week. So Marcus Haynes got a lot of the snaps. And he's actually been playing. When I was out there at camp, he was rotating in early with the defense as well. Not just playing on the 4th string. He was rotating in with second teamers that when I was out there. So he might be a surprise when the roster cuts come down. Again, what I always say is, if you want to know who makes the roster, watch special teams.
Yes.
You get good special teams players. They may not be as good at another position as somebody else, but if they play better at special teams, that's where they're going to punch their ticket. They're not going to keep a guy as the 5th or 6th edge rusher who doesn't play very well on special teams. They're just not going to do it. And even if you think that guy's a pretty good pass rusher and who may develop into something, they need special teams players now right away. And so that's where my head is going. I want to see if Marcus Haynes can repeat the performance he had last week. And if he could get a quarterback sack, something like that, some sort of impact play or a nice tackle for a loss or something like that, you're going to get eyes on him. And I think they already have their eyes on him, but that's just going to make him even that much better. So his chances that much better.
Yeah, that's a good one. And again, it's impact plays and versatility, guys. If you possess one of those 2 things, in addition to doing well at your natural position, chances are you're going to make this roster. So again, that's part of what Peyton was saying. You know, what can they do? What else can they do?
Yeah.
So that is a good one as well. Thank you, Michael, for coming in. We got you. He says, "What are you guys looking for in this preseason game 2?" So yes, we're looking for again, we're looking for a lot, Michael. This is a very good question. We're looking for clutch plays, impact plays. In the comments, a lot of the fans are looking at this offensive line. How is this offensive line going to look? How is it going to perform? How are they going to respond? Because this defensive front for the 49ers, granted, I know we're dealing with, the first strings are going to be out there probably for a certain period of time, but also the second and third, they're formidable.
Yeah.
So what will Isaiah Prince, Alex Pozeski, how will they hold up? How will Ben Powers look? Because, he had a bad outing last week. He was getting beat on every play. Will he hold up? So I would say there are a lot of key matchups, Michael, that we're looking at, as the players we called out. But the most concerning piece of this team is this offensive line. And I think a lot of people are going to agree with me that we're going to see how they respond tonight.
Yeah, and that's one of my key matchups right now. It's kind of the interior line versus the San Francisco 49ers defensive line, but specifically, I want to see how well Miners does against Hargrave, who came in from Philadelphia Eagles last year. Now I know it's early, they're going to play 20 to 24 snaps, but I'm going to share this, see if I can get this, and I apologize for the color. It looks kind of crummy, but what I did, I went and looked back at play-by-play stats for the last half of the year, rushing against the 49ers. And they were pretty formidable. They have a formidable front four. And so front seven for that matter, but their defensive line was pretty solid. But if you look at this, they were above the NFL average. And I took away the long runs, anything of 25 and over, I took those out. So this is just, pretty solid runs. They were able to, teams were able to get traction against them up the middle. So I'm looking for the interior line, but right here, this right over right guard, I want to see if Miners can do something against Hargrave. And because Russell Wilson came out recently, like a couple days ago, he was talking about how they want a physical run team. Now, this is going to be the test right here. Starters against starters. Will Miners be able to impose his will and get Javonte and Pirine some yards against that interior front of the 49ers? So they're susceptible to it. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping to see when it comes to this matchup tonight. And then, of course, as the game goes on, can the backups do the same thing? But I really want to see Miners versus Hargrave. I've got a lot invested in thinking Miners can become better. I think he can, and this will be a test, and that's what I'm really hoping for.
Yep, that's a good one. So I'll go with my key matchup since we, we have the offensive line in common, but I'm going to switch gears a bit as far as my key matchup. Obviously, we know that the first team wide receivers are good at what they do. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy is a route running wizard. But I'm looking forward to seeing the second and the third string wide receivers and how they play against man and zone coverage. So specifically calling out Michael Bandy, JJ Koski, Nick Williams, Ken Marquez Callaway win his matchup with Avery Thomas and Isaiah Oliver of the 49ers. Can Jalen Virgil win his matchup against Jameson and Womack of the 49ers? So, looking at how these receivers run their routes and how they switch and redirect based on man and or zone. So we know the 49ers defense was top of the league last year, or near the top of the league last year. And you play that two deep safety shell coverage a lot. Safety comes over the top. So they like to limit a lot of those yak yards. So again, I'm just curious to see how these receivers run their routes to avoid that. Because again, we know Marvin Mims, Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, they're going to make the team. That's your 1, 2, 3. I think Brandon Johnson, because I think he's still in that ankle injury, coming back, is going to be the 4th. And then those 2 remaining, because I think they're going to carry 6, those 2 remaining wide receiver spots. Again, this is your time to shine, special teams, but also how do you perform against some of these coverages with that second or third string? So I'm curious to see how that's going to come about.
I'm going to piggyback on that because I pulled some more stats from the latter half of the 49ers last year and where they were getting some traction. And they're not they don't give up a lot of yards after catch. If you look at the I'm going to hide this comment for just a second, then I'll go back to it. If you look at the short, less than 15 yards to the short right and left and middle, they were pretty good about limiting the yards after catch. So for me, I want to see if these quarterbacks, especially Russell Wilson, can throw the ball in a way that it gives the wide receivers opportunities to get yards after catch, because it's there. I mean, especially over here to the right, you can see, I mean, they're throwing short yardage and they're getting, 10 to 15 yards. That means they're getting yards after the catch. So now, even though they're a stout defense, they can get opportunities in that short area of the field, especially to the right. And if the quarterbacks can deliver the ball correctly, you can see some of these players, Jeudy and anybody else, really Mims, hopefully they get that yard after catch. So that's what I'm looking for too, Ron. I really, I'm with you but I really want to see the quarterbacks deliver the ball correctly, right? I mean, I know Jeudy can get yards after the catch. Mims can too. So can several other of these guys. It's the quarterbacks that need to give the ball correctly to them to get that there. That's what I'm focused on.
And you're right, Thomas. And piggyback off that point, there were a few plays. There was some good and some bad with particularly Russell Wilson in last week's game. And I believe it was that first play to Cortland Sutton. So eventually the ball did end up going to Cortland Sutton and he caught it. But Russell Wilson could have thrown that ball much quicker. Yep. So it's a matter of when you have these play fakes, Russell Wilson needs to know and understand, hey, get the ball out on time, because you have that blitzer coming in. So get up on time. And then also I see some hesitation with Russell Wilson, specifically with man, because I think he focuses more on that first read as opposed to taking, the easy receiver right there. I think there was another play where I think it was Jeudy and Sutton on the same side. And I think Sutton set the pick and Jeudy was right there. And it was just a matter of, you're so focused on getting it to Sutton while Jeudy was right there at the line of scrimmage. He could have caught it right there and go for yards after catch. So there are small things that Russell can work on, but it's a matter of the timing. Once he gets the ball, once he does the play action, get the ball out quick. So things like that he can improve upon. And hopefully with Sean Payton's installation, that'll continue to prove throughout training camp and in the preseason.
I just want to give a shout out to Michael Davis here with the super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Michael saying, aloha, gents. I'm ready to see Pookie, JJ, Sutton, Mims, Dulcich, Russ on the field together. First time it's ever happened. Yeah, me too. Yeah. All these guys are intriguing, right? When you're talking about, I mean, Jonte Williams just coming back it's just incredible that he healed so quickly. I want to see him back in there doing his thing that he was doing before the injury. And once I see that, and I feel like his mentality is there, right? He's already got that mentality. He's wanting to get that contact. I think he's going to bounce back quickly mentally too. So I'm looking forward, but thank you so much for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. I'm looking for Pookie. I expect great things. I am so glad that he is back in the fold. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does tonight. I'm also looking forward to seeing what Mims does as well. The tape at Oklahoma has me excited. I know he's kind of been in and out with the hamstring injury and such. But him coming in, being that third wideout, I'm curious to see how, he impacts the team. So yeah, you're right on. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of all those players at once tonight. It's going to be exciting.
I'm just going to grab this comment by Buzz and iGuard real quick, asking, how about outside linebacker Chris Allen? That is his name. Yes, Christopher Allen, the Alabama dude that was injured his first year. Yeah, I expected him to come back and really push for playing time, but from what I've seen in camp, he has not been that impressive. He's okay. He's not leaping off the off of the field, like grabbing people's attention the way you would expect somebody who's on that roster bubble. I thought he was going to be a lot better. I thought he was going to surprise, but right now I feel like even Marcus Haynes has kind of passed him on the depth chart. So yeah, it was a bit of surprise for me, Buzz. I really, really thought he was going to be, pushing for some playing time, but so far he hasn't. So he's going to have to make some sort of impression in this game to get people coaches thinking about him again, because he hasn't been very impressive. He had his moments. Don't get me wrong. He had his moments in camp, but not super impressive. And the other thing I just want to, there's a lot of buzz in here about how to watch the game. NFL Plus, you can watch preseason games live. So if you have NFL Plus, go there, watch it live. I don't know how, I think it's like $70 a year now or something like that, but that's the only way I know about watching. I know the YouTube DirecTV kind of thing is going on too, but that's like $300 and some a year to watch. So it seems fairly expensive, but NFL Plus, yeah, I think it's $70 this year, something like that. And then you'll have that all 22 and stuff later. So you might want to think about that if you're outside the area. But yeah, you can watch it live preseason. Yep.
All right. I wanted to grab. There was a comment in here about. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, while you're looking for it, I'm going to just give you my last key for this matchup. Now, the Broncos had a tough time setting the edge when running backs came right at him, running to the left, that left tackle area. If I can pull up the graph I made, but I'm not gonna. If you look at the play-by-play stats, pretty obvious that they were getting pretty decent yards running at that right end, that right outside linebacker. Now, I think Frank Clark's he can do it well, and I think he's going to be the starter while Baron Browning's healing up. Right. But the people that come in to spell him have to show me something tonight. They have to show that they can set the end. I'm talking about Marcus Haynes, talking about Cooper, I'm talking about Benito. These guys have to show me tonight that they can set the edge if someone's running right at them on that side of the line, because the Broncos struggled with it last year, and struggled with it quite a bit, and especially in the second half of the year when it was the backups that were in, when all the injuries kind of took Gregory and Browning and those folks out of the rotation. They really struggle with it. So that's where I'm talking about Marcus Haynes. If he can come in and set that edge and not let the runner get good yardage, he might stamp his ticket tonight if he can show that. But the others need to do it as well. So that's my other key for tonight, is who can step up and set that edge as a backup, as a rotational player that was not there. It wasn't there last year. Benito wasn't very good at it. Cooper wasn't very good at it. Those backups, they have to show me something tonight. And I think if they do, you're going to see whoever does that is going to be that first guy off of the bench for Frank Clark.
Yeah. Final comment. I'm going to go ahead and flash it on here from Todd Ossendorf. Thank you, Todd, for coming in. We always appreciate you, my man. This is an interesting question I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on, Thomas. Does Hinton make the roster? He could be a good gadget player, and I see him fitting well in Peyton's offense. What say you?
No, I don't see him. I'm sorry, I just don't see him. I mean, he's a good field, good story and everything, but he's been passed up at wide receiver. There are other wide receivers. Brandon Johnson's passed him. Marvin Mims has passed him. I think they've got some other young guys. I mean, really, if Callaway can impress a little bit on special teams, he'll pass Hinton. Hinton struggled in camp early on. He has gotten better. I'll say that he's gotten better, but he was dropping passes. He was bobbling punts. He wasn't very impressive early on for the first couple weeks or week and a half in camp. So I don't think he's a long shot. He's a long shot to make the roster, because I also think Montrell Washington, and I know he's, he had a rough outing last year. Might have passed him on the depth chart as well. Montreal Washington has played in camp very, very well. And it's not just me. I liked Montreal Washington. I thought he could be that gadget player, and he kind of struggled. But Luke Patterson, who was out there every day at camp, Mile High Huddle, he's saying the same thing. And he didn't like him, and I argue all the time about Montreal Washington. He didn't think he would make the roster. He still may not, but he's impressed. And I think it's slid Hinton farther and farther down the list. But if you're talking about a gadget player, Montreal Washington will be a better gadget player than Hinton, because you can get him in space, right? You can get him in space, get him, with the ball in his hands in different areas, make some plays for him. He's going to be harder to tackle, more elusive than Hinton is. So that I don't see a path for Hinton to make the roster. Just don't. I mean, he's a good feel-good story, and he caught the ball fairly well last year, but he's been struggling.
Yeah, this again, Todd, thank you. And I agree with you, Thomas. I don't see where Hinton fits on the roster. I go back to what else can you do as a receiver, especially when we're talking about the 5th and the 6th wide receiver on the depth chart. And I think that Hinton's been out there, fielding punts, I think, in the past, just didn't really work out. And we've seen Washington now shine. Washington has gotten better. Last year was a little shaky, to say the least. But, from what I heard in camp, and as you mentioned, we've seen Washington do well now fielding punts. And you're right, Thomas. We've seen him in some of those play designs, in motion. He can do screens. He can take it to the house. He's a more than capable wide receiver. So, I definitely see him, making this roster over Hinton.
Yeah. I'll tell you, they mishandled Washington last year. Completely mishandled him. Yeah, they just handed him the role, the punt returner, right? They didn't make him work for it. And when he struggled, they just kept him out there. They just kept him out there when he had his fumbles. So they mishandled it last year. Yeah. This year he has to earn it, and he's earning it. He may not make the roster. He's still kind of on the outside looking in for me. Washington is, but I'll tell you, he's done pretty much everything he can do to make the roster. They're loaded at wide receiver still, even with Patrick's injury.
Yes, definitely.
I'm going to grab Michael Ronquillo's comment here about the quarterbacks. QB Jarrett Stidham, he says, must improve in this preseason game too. Absolutely, Michael. They paid him a lot of money, and he has not performed as good as DiNucci in camp or in preseason. He has been not good at all. I would take DiNucci over him right now. He's going to have to really show something. The money issue may keep him around. They paid him a lot, and maybe he's better, as the game goes on. I don't know, but man, he has not been impressive, Michael, at all. He's going to have a big game tonight.
Thank you, Mike, for coming in. And I agree with you, Thomas. He looked atrocious. He just looked downright awful. And hopefully in this game, he picks it up. There were a multitude of errors on Stidham's part, not reading the defense, that horrible pick, not getting the ball out on time, not understanding where the receivers are. There were just a whole host of issues that he needs to get addressed. And they're going to keep him around just because of the money. They paid him a lot, so he has to be kept around, and hopefully he will improve there. But it was just a first horrible showing, and hopefully he picks it up this game. I mean, he's going to have to. So
yeah. All right, let's jump into some of the injuries that I think are out there right now for this game that you're probably not going to see them. So I already mentioned PJ Locke and Caden Stearns and Justin Simmons as safeties. They're probably not going to be out there tonight. Yeah. Probably not going to see them. So you're going to see others step into their role. I think I'm looking forward to seeing if both Skinner and Turner Yell can kind of step up to the challenge. I hope they can. Yeah. But they're going to be your starters probably. I mean, Kareem Jackson might be your starter for a little while, but he's a vet. They're probably not going to want to run him out there for that full 20 to 24 plays. So essentially you're going to see most likely Skinner and Turner Yell being the starters out there to replace them. I think Tyler Beatty was dinged up. I don't know if he's going to play. He might not play this preseason game. For his sake, hopefully he can, but I think he's banged up, so he may not get out there. Riley Moss, he's still recovering from that surgery. He's been out a little bit in camp, but they may not roll him out. I don't know. We'll see. He's healing up, so they might get him out there, but he's one that you may not see again. You may not see till the last game. And then Brandon Johnson's out, of course. And there's a possibility. I mean, Chris Manhertz hasn't been.
Yeah,
he's been on the sideline. I like him. I think he's got the team. He's made the team, but I don't know if he's going to be out there tonight because I think he might be having a lingering injury, and they had him on the side at camp a lot. So I don't know can you think of any other injuries that I hit them all? I think those are the ones that I know of. Probably not going to see them out there.
Yeah, you hit most of them. With the Brandon Johnson, I was thinking about Michael Bandy can maybe step up. Kind of players who can step up in the wake of some of these injuries.
Yep.
Definitely we need to see Isaiah Prince step up. With Mike McGlinchey being out. I think K'Wan Williams is dinged up still. Fabian Mauro. Yeah, we want to see a little bit of sighting of Fabian Mauro come through. And then, with the PJ Lock, as you mentioned, Darian Tillion-Yell, maybe Devon Key coming in as well. So those are a few names to add to your list that could step up with some of those injuries.
My guy that I've been talking about since before they re-signed Cam Fleming, Alex Pelcheski, has a chance to step in tonight with McGlinchey's injury and show that he belongs on this team. Isaiah Prince struggled in camp, and I think he struggled in that last outing as well. Pelcheski didn't. Pelcheski has a shot, and we'll see. I'm rooting for him. Right, he's undrafted rookie free agent who had a pretty good showing in camp, and Luke said that he was taking some first team reps as well. So we'll see. Hopefully he can step into that. Yeah, because McGlinchey's definitely out as well. I forgot to mention his name, but Prince needs to show something. I think you said I think Isaiah Prince is roster bubble right now. Has some experience, but he's not as experienced as you would think for a 5-year vet. I think he's been in the NFL for 5 years, but he's missed 2 seasons. And he started, I think, 6 games, played sparingly, so not as experienced as you would think. And as we're talking about the offensive line, let's grab Todd here. Todd Ostendorf's coming in. He's asking, can you see Cam Fleming pushing Bowles for his job if Bowles struggles again, even as a temporary move to motivate Bowles? Go ahead.
So thank you, Todd, for coming in, because this plays into a segment that I want to start here as it relates to player improvement. Who needs to improve the most on this team? And my candidate is Garrett Bowles.
Yeah.
Garrett Bowles looked, I know he's still coming off from that leg injury. I understand that. But he was just not playing the game well. He was just out here not holding blocks, letting, pass protection slip, not being good in the run game. So if he does not get beat, that play with that Arizona outside linebacker sticks in my mind that caused that sack on Russell Wilson. So there are a lot of things that Garrett Bowles needs to clean up. So Todd, Fleming didn't really look that much better, but, it could possibly happen. I think what we need to do is give Bowles, this game, give him, next game, just to kind of see what happens, to kind of iron out those kinks. But if he doesn't perform well, or the way that we know the starting left tackle should, then expect a push from Cam Fleming. So that might be motivation, but we'll see.
I'll tell you, if they put Fleming in, it's not any better. Fleming's been worse than Bowles, if you can imagine that. I'm sorry. Fleming has not looked good in camp. Neither is Isaiah Prince. Their depth, those 2 depth players have not looked very good. I know Fleming had a pretty good year last year coming in as a rotational piece, but that didn't carry forward. There's not really many options out there. I know people are talking about Jason Peters. He could barely get on the field as well with the Cowboys, who are struggling with their offensive tackles. There's not a lot of options. So and don't get me wrong, if Bowles struggles and they decide to go with Fleming, they will. But I just don't think he's a very good option. That's the problem. I don't think it's a motivation thing for Bowles. I think it's that injury was pretty devastating.
Yeah.
And when I talked with Ken Lanier again, go watch that Legends of Mile High. Ken Lanier, legend in Broncos. If you don't know who he is, look him up. That's his push off leg, right? He's his right leg is his push off leg, and that's the one that got busted. Right, both bones. We don't know if it's screwed together, played together. We don't know anything, so it could be hampering him. He needs to get past that. Maybe it is hampering a little, but there's also a huge mental game to it as well. Getting that, being able to get your mind right, knowing that you can perform, after that injury. So there's a few things that he has struggled with, but you also have to remember that they were working him back in. He hasn't had a ton of reps in camp. So they've been careful with him coming back from injury, and the entire line hasn't been together yet either. McGlinchey missed a lot of time for personal reasons to start out, and then he got injured. So you've got this, the offensive line it's the longest really to gel of any of the position groups. So you got to give him some time. I just don't see if Fleming has to come in. Lord help
God help us.
Yeah. So, all right, Ron, we've got a few minutes left. So if there's any questions that pop up, great. But I'm going to give you a couple stat projections.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any, but I'm going with Javonte Williams. I don't think he's going to play 20 snaps.
No.
I think they're going to limit him to about 10 to 12 snaps, just because they're going to be careful with him. But I think he's going to get 5 carries. He's going to get 20 yards. And that's a good outing for him. That means that he's going to have a pretty decent, grinded out type game like we expect from Javonte Williams. Maybe not a big run, because the defense for the 49ers is pretty stout. But I think if you can run behind Miners and hopefully Powers as well, I think you can grind out 4 yards per carry for him in this outing. And I think that I think that's a great outing for him. Get in there, get 10 snaps, 5 carries. I think it's going to be perfect.
Nice. Yes. Jaleel McLaughlin with a touchdown.
Nice.
That's my shot. So 70 yards and a touchdown. And then I also have Lil Jordan Humphrey with a touchdown as well.
Nice.
So I get
all right.
One running back and one receiver each with a touchdown. So
I'm just going to give a shout out to Michael coming in with a big Facebook stars. Thank you for the support. Saying great show tonight. Thomas and Ron, Orange and Blue View, go Broncos and Buckham. Thank you for that, Michael. Really appreciate it. So I got one. I'm going with a different receiver. I'm going with my key player to watch. Marcus Callaway is who I'm going with. I think he's going to have 3 catches for about 26 yards.
Okay.
I think he's going to get some opportunities, and that's going to solidify his role on this team. He's going to play special teams as well tonight, but I think he's going to have just enough to kind of tip the scale to say, okay, he's an experienced guy that comes from the Saints. We're going to get him the ball a few times. He's going to make 3 catches, get a few yards, nothing massive. I would like to see him get a touchdown. I don't know if he will, but he's going to be productive enough to make sure that he gets that spot on the roster. That's my guy for tonight as well in the receivers. I you know me. I like to go with the bubble guys in preseason just because those are the ones that I'm always watching. Who's going to make the team? I know the other people are going to make the team. So I'm pulling for Callaway. I hope he does it.
Good one.
All right. So the game starts in about 4 minutes. So everybody jump out there, check out our guys, Skinner, Haynes, Callaway, Little Jordan Humphrey, and then I'm forgetting your other
Jonathan
two.
Harris and Tyler Beatty.
And Tyler Beatty, who may not play tonight, though,
Ron,
because he did get banged up. So hopefully he will. But go check those guys out tonight and see if we're right. See if they come out and make some noise, or maybe not. And that's the thing. If they don't make noise, then guess what? They're going to have a hard time making the roster. So. All right, folks, this was our preview. This is going to be our preview show going into the regular season. Again, if you see, if we miss something that you guys really want to hear, hit us up. We're both on Twitter. Easy enough. Put it in the comments. We'll see it. I go and try to check our YouTube comments when I can. Let us know what you want to see, because we want this show to be for you guys, because we're going to be the final Mile High Huddle show before the game, Saturday night. So you can join us for the pregame show. For myself, Thomas Hall, and for Ron White, thank you for joining tonight. Have fun watching the game. I'm going to be watching it, taking a lot of notes. So thank you very much, Ron. Any final words before we end this?
No final words. So again, just look out for our key players, and just excited to have a good game tonight. Like Quentin says, it's about that time. So let's get it started.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Have a great time watching the game, Broncos fans, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.